Hello, I'm Matt Stevens and welcome to round 10 of the Men's KISS Super League, the only dedicated esports league to feature professional cyclists, with all of the action held exclusively on Zwift. Now this is the final round of 10 weeks of racing where some of the best professional riders have gone head to head with some of the finest riders drawn from the Zwift community. And joining us here in London at Zwift headquarters for the final round are the Madison Genesis team. Now, before we preview the course for this week, let's take a little look back at some of the highlights of one of the standout riders from the series so far. Ian Bibby of Madison Genesis, who last week took his fourth win of the KISS Super League on the Watopia flat course.
Ian Bibby looks like it's going to take the first ever KISS Super League Pro race. And Ian Bibby with the coin from way out. I mean, we're talking 2.2K to go. Team Alex West comes on through, but Ian Bibby just barely makes it at the line. Perfectly timed sprint, holding on to the wheel.
Attacked by the rider from Great Britain, Mountain White champion, cyclocross champion, criterium champion. Lewis is closing though, great ride by Lewis, but I don't think it's going to be in time. The finish banner is there, can he hold on? It looks like he's got enough of a gap. Win number 3 for Ian Bibby in round 8 of the KISS Super League. So, confirmation of the results last week. Ian Bibby, an amazing fourth win, tops the rankings. He was just under a tenth of a second clear of Dan Bigham of Real Pro Cycling. Then we had a clutch of riders from the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Brad Guveris was third, fourth Ollie Jones, and fifth was Alex West. Then we had two riders from the Zwift All-Stars, Matthew Drugeon and Stevie Young. Then we had Alexander Richardson in 8th place for Canyon DHB, powered by Blorholmes. Joey Walker was 9th for Madison Genesis, the second of their riders inside the top 10. Then in 10th position, riding for the Zwift All-Stars, was Kim Little. Now that result, in relation to the team standings, meant heading into the final round, the team results look like this. Madison Genesis, unsurprisingly, way clear with an amazing 390 points. But after putting a clutch of riders into the top 10 last week, the Zwift Academy Dream Team really solidifying that second place with 312 points. The Zwift All-Stars, they're in third with 243. Ribble Pro Cycling, not too far behind at all, in fourth with 210. Then we have in fifth place Canyon DHB, powered by Blorholmes, with 151. Dimension Data could move up if they have a good round. They're in sixth currently on 139. Then in seventh, Team Wiggins-LaCole. Eighth, SEG Racing Academy. 9th, Vitus Pro Cycling. And rounding out the top 10 with 88 points are Hagen's Berman Action. So heading into round 10 for the final round, the riders face 2 laps of the London Loop course, starting in the centre of town, then moving out into the Surrey Hills for an attritional course featuring 2 ascents of the infamous, or famous, depending on which way you look at it, Box Hill. Expect fireworks. With this being the final round, I'm expecting an aggressive, no-holds-barred race, especially over the very, very attritional and tough Box Hill course. Now, with Madison Genesis being so dominant and with the other teams having nothing to lose, I'm expecting them to throw absolutely everything at this race. It should be a corker. So, it's over to Nathan and Hannah Walker.
Thank you so much. On the London course, Hannah Walker with me, former professional cyclist and former national champion and now commentator here with us. Pretty excited to have you here, Hannah. And what do you think about what's been going on with the, I mean, I know you're involved with WNT Rotor as a communications manager too, and I know you've been watching the KISS Super League a whole lot. What are you thinking so far about the whole of the KISS Super League, men's, women's, as well as this final round today?
Yeah, I think it's been super exciting, and thanks for having me along. It's been super exciting for both the men's and women's KISS Super League, and Madison Genesis have been very dominant throughout the series, and I think it's been brilliant to see how all the riders and teams have taken it with both hands and really given it 110% to this series, and it's been some fantastic and exciting racing, and I think the fans have loved watching all the action.
Yeah, definitely, and it's been really, really fast racing in the men's. I mean, they've just been hammering. Obviously, Madison Genesis super dominant with the team standings right now. We also have in-house today here at Zwift HQ, Madison Genesis, Ian Bibby holding down in real life, we're being told, second overall on the KOM today for the climb today. So Box Hill, Ian Bibby, second overall in real life. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can take down that KOM competition that we do have today in this race out here today. We've got about 30 seconds to go to the start of the race. Riders are going to be warming, definitely well warmed up here, and going to be kicking off really fast here in just a moment with just about 15 seconds to go. If you're not familiar with the starts of Zwift races, it is like a cyclocross or mountain bike race, and it is absolutely pounding from the get-go. You'll see lots of orange numbers in just a moment here, and here we go with 1 second to go. Riders kicking off here, and it's going to be leading out. It seems to be Ribble perhaps up to the front. No, the All-Stars now, and on the left-hand side of the course we do see Wiggins Lacole now taking off as well. They'll be taking a left-hand turn in just a moment through the lap finish banner, and then out on to the flats. A little bit of rollers right from the get-go out on this course for London. They'll be heading up toward the square after that, and then on over toward the monster climb that is Box Hill. Looking at the screen right now, if you're unfamiliar with Zwift racing, on the right-hand side, you do see the rider highlighted. That is Ian Bibby, who is in-house right now, 5.7 watts per kilogram. You can see underneath his name. And then the upper left-hand corner, you will see the wattage they are currently put out. 160 beats per minute there also, right underneath the wattage, and 106 RPMs underneath that. So all of the information about the riders that are highlighted that we are looking at is going to be there. So the start of this race, Hannah, you've raced a lot out on Zwift. You're pretty familiar with how things are going here for the riders. What are the starts like, and what do you think about what's going through these riders' heads at this moment right here?
Yeah, the starts are very, very important. If you don't get that start right, your race could be over immediately, and you almost have to put yourself into the red. You have to put out a great amount of watch. You can already see people are using their power-ups, draft and feather, to just, if they're struggling a little bit, just make sure you stay in the pack. And from experience, the starts are so hard, and you just need to try and, it's 30 seconds of effort. Get yourself into that rhythm, make sure you stay in the bunch, stay in the peloton, and work yourself into this rhythm. And that's kind of where you set yourself down.
Yeah, if you do find yourself off of this main pack that we're looking at here right now with 29.4 kilometers to go, a minute and a half in, the kind of speeds that we see from the get-go, from the kind of punches we see and the attacks we see right from the get-go coming out of those pens can immediately put a rider off the back. And if you're trying to chase down a pack of 40 riders with this kind of power and this kind of speed right from the get-go, it could just be said and done. I mean, it's almost impossible for a solo rider, if they find themselves off the back, to get back involved in a group like this.
Yeah, it's completely impossible for a solo rider. You can just see already speeds are we just got up to 61 kilometers per hour. We're settling around 54 now. It's so hard. If you're on your own, there's no chance you're going to be able to get back to the bunch because of the draft effect as well. It's just like in real life racing. If you get dropped, it's so much harder to work yourself back to that leading group.
Yeah, and you do see, luckily enough, most of the riders, I believe, have made it. We do have an attack off the front here with Donovan now, coming from Wiggins Lacole here in the red and blue kit. 6.5 watts per kilogram, 435 watts. This is a very early attack, looking to break things apart, perhaps try and loosen up the legs of a few of the other riders here. So with this breakaway here, double draft is on here out here today. It's a huge pack chasing him down. Interesting move here. I'm not sure it's going to end up going much of anywhere. Maybe a tactical move to see if it can make something happen. Now another Wiggins rider, though, going along with him. This seems to be an organized move, perhaps, with Suvignage also going with him. I don't think that this is coincidence whatsoever, Hannah.
No, I think they've planned this attack, and like you said before, it could just be to test the legs, try and get some riders to actually get dropped early on. So when they actually do get to Box Hill in a few kilometers, there's not as many riders in that peloton, and I know Mark Donovan is a very, very good climber as well. So testing the legs, I think he's got it all under control, and riders and teams have got a game plan before they come into these races, and they've already talked about the tactics and what they're going to do, and they know the courses as well. They've been riding Zwift for a long time, and these riders are very experienced, so they know where to make their move. And doesn't surprise me to see a few early attacks just to kind of get things going.
Yeah, we are going along the river here now, and it is going to be probably calming down the initial 3 to 4 minutes that we usually see for that perhaps an initial break to take off from the shock to the body that these riders do feel has been over, I believe, at this point. Let's speak a little bit to the course and maybe the tactics in this final round. This is the last chance to make any kind of differences in the overall. Madison Genesis, with them being so dominant, they've kind of wrapped up the series as far as the top spots go. That kind of, though, also has a couple of other teams a little lower down in the rankings, maybe looking to change things up. It's a total of 32 races that the riders, or 32 total results that the riders can have between their 4 riders showing up each and every week. Some of these teams actually only have 29, 31, 27 races total. With that being the reality out here, they have the chance to get full points for their results, whereas a few of the other teams having 31 or so, they're going to be trying to replace their best results that they have out there or worst results they have out there. So Ribble Pro Cycling, I'd be watching out for them today. They have 29 races in for their points total, which means that, or 29 results in for their points total, which means they have the chance to get 3 results at full points. And if they take first and second today, they could actually jump from 4th place overall into 3rd place overall. So I have a feeling that Ribble is going to be watching out to try and have the best result they possibly can here today. But I think you got a couple of favorites you pointed out prior to the race too.
Yeah, definitely. Ribble, I can imagine they're definitely going for this and trying to catch and clinch the 3rd spot overall in the team standings. John Archibald, very strong rider, great individual pursuit rider and time trial rider. He's just come back from the World Track Championships in Pruszków in Poland 4 weeks ago. So form is very good, and they've already had a win within that team with Ed Hopper and Dan Bigham last week, second behind Ian Bibby. So very strong. Dan Bigham's not racing tonight, but we've got Ed Hopper, Alex Lures and Chris Sheriffs coming for the team. So like I say, they're all about speaking with each other, speaking about what the plan might be, how will they take that 3rd spot overall, what are they going to do tactics wise, and I think they'll be the team to watch today tactically, because almost they've got nothing to lose. They're in 4th spot. If they don't try something, then maybe they'll finish 4th and that'll be that. But if they try something, they could move themselves up to 3rd overall, and it'll be, I think it's going to be an exciting race, a battle between them all.
They've definitely been the instigators. I mean, Ed Hopper obviously with the breakaway on Innsbruck with a solo win in the last lap. They've shown that they can make it happen. On this course specifically, it is a little bit of a climber's course. We do have about a 5.5 to a 6 minute climb. We can see we do have the Madison Genesis boys in-house there. They look fairly calm at this point. Now, they obviously calm as they know that the series maybe not so much after the points here today, but there is a KOM competition on the line. We do have some serious climbing legs here in-house today. Ian Bibby holding in real life. He actually held that in real life KOM on Strava from 2013, the Ride London, until just recently. Somebody who uses it, I guess, for their local training ride, who's a competitor of his, was going up and down it trying to beat Bibby, and he got him by 2 seconds. Bibby says he's going to go out and try and grab it again, I guess. Maybe he can grab it today, though, in the KOM points competition. I have a feeling they're going to be super motivated for that, as they don't really have anything to lose except for that points competition today. So the KOM, I think, is probably going to be on their minds for the W on that, at least. Now, real quickly, though, as far as the other favorites out, I think we did mention a little bit before the broadcast here, Maximilian Stedman, strong climber, has those kind of legs, Hannah?
Yeah, he's a very good climber for Canyon DHB. Very good climber out on the road, and he's been strong at races like the Tour of Britain. So I can see him being strong on Box Hill today. He's light rider, he's small, and he's just very, very strong. He thrives on the climbs. And also today with Box Hill, once you get to the top of Box Hill and then you sort of like go down a little bit of descent and then it's the big kicker, he could just make a big impact there, attack everyone kind of by surprise and hold on. He's strong enough. It's only, suits him perfectly.
So that's a nice tactical play there, actually. With the KOM being at the top, you could follow and know, people are going to be battling out for the KOM. Grab that that draft going into the banner, not necessarily care so much about the KOM itself, but then make an attack over that 13, 14. I think it gets up in even 16% gradient. It is quite the puncher. And Maximilian, like you said, being a punchier rider, actually, those smaller, lighter, strong riders tend to be those 5 to 6 minute climbers too. So I have a feeling we might see something from Canyon DHB out there. They've also got a lot of points to be grabbing. I think they're sitting around 5th or 6th in the standings. So they've got something to really gain out here today if they do grab a solid result. So I'd be watching for Canyon DHB as well. We also see Christensen, his teammate there, the Kiwi, now heading to the front. Now the climb is starting. The first time up on the top of Box Hill. As we said, this is going to be a fast and furious race. It's 2 laps. The London Loop, 23.5 kilometers to go. And this is going to be over before we know it, but not before we see a lot of attacks here. Suvignage now going to the front there. Looks like Madison Genesis, though, in-house with Tom. It looks like Moses now, Madison Genesis, but it's going to be the Zwift All-Stars as well as the Zwift Academy there in the green jerseys, the Zwift Academy Dream Team, and then it is going to be the All-Stars in the blue, white, and orange jersey toward the front end of this pack, and they also have a lot to lose, sitting in the 2nd and 3rd place overall. They're going to be watching the Ribble riders and trying to make sure they do not take those points away from them. Wiggins now going, though, to the front here. It's going to be Wiggins Nicole with Donovan, and you mentioned him right before we, actually right from the get-go, he had a little bit of an attack off the front right from the start, and now at the front into 8 watts per kilogram. This looks like a serious attack, Hannah.
Yeah, like I said before, maybe he was just testing his legs. He knew he wanted to attack from the very beginning. And, Mark Donovan, very strong climber. He could hold on to the top of this climb. And maybe he just wants to force a small group, break up the peloton, get a small group to go with him, and then they'll work well together for the remainder of this 23K to go.
Yeah, look at this here now. 2 of them, though, definitely timed attack here. Suvignaglia goes right along with him. We're seeing Mark Donovan, 19, Wiggins Nicole. Favorite place to race, as he says there. It looks like they're, I did catch the graphic.
In the Basque Country.
Basque Country.
Yeah, so that just says it all.
We have the Londoner here, the Brit here helping me out with a little bit of the local information. Thank you so much, Hannah. Jacques Suvignaglia, though, as well. Wiggins Nicole finished 13th in youth classification at the Baby Giro. So this guy can climb like crazy, and this is a 1 second gap. Canyon DHB, though, shutting it down. Moses is there as well from Madison Genesis, working together. We do see it is going to be Feetenby as well there, making his way forward in the green jersey. So it looks like Oliver's Real Food Racing now is also involved to the front. Vitus Pro Cycling with Slater there, and then it's going to be Alex West. I think Alex West perhaps just following wheels in the all-green kit there from the Zwift Academy Dream Team. So now we do see it looks like Donovan and Wiggins from the Wiggins team still hanging on to the front here, and they are not giving up this attack. I think they have really committed to this so far, Hannah.
Yeah, they have. And with them being teammates, they can work well together. They can put the power down, put the pressure down. And also, they've got nothing to lose. They're not in the overall team standings. Other teams should just be looking at them, sort of like Madison Genesis, the Zwift All-Stars, the Zwift Academy Dream Team. They should actually be looking at Wiggins and kind of not see them as a threat. They don't need to chase it back immediately. We've still got 22 kilometers to go. And, they're still a big pack. And if they're not a threat, then kind of don't waste your energy too soon. We've still got quite a long way to go on this climb already.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see now how Madison Genesis and Canyon DHB have kind of taken over the chase. Ribble, though, following. Alex Lurs sitting in the wheels there. I've seen him about 3rd or 4th wheel so far, and we saw him on the opposite side of this climb, on the other climb here on this course, actually, just a few weeks ago, take a 3rd place behind Ian Bibby and Alex West. I would be watching out for Lures, perhaps from Team Ribble, to be the favorite from Ribble, at least on a climbing course like this. There's also the reality, though, if the power horses from Ribble can make it over the top, watch out for Ed Hopper perhaps to make some sort of a descent attack. If you use an arrow power up over the other side of this climb, there is the possibility to give it away, and we could see a couple of riders from Team Ribble to try and make something like that happen. All the big names we talked about, though, prior to the race are involved here. We do see Vjausen here making the way to the front, though, from the Zwift All-Stars now in that blue, white, and orange kit at the front end of this pack. Watch out for that rider. Super strong in real life, cyclocross rider and mountain biker. He knows how to climb for sure. Now we do see Moses here, Madison Genesis, and they're on those elites here in-house, the smart trainers. For those of you unfamiliar with Zwift, Zwift does give you the feedback from the gradient they are feeling in the game. So in the upper right-hand corner, you see the mini-map, and on the mini-map, you can see the gradient they are currently experiencing in the game right now. And those elite trainers that the Madison Genesis team is on here in-house are definitely producing that that gradient for the riders. Pushback, a lot of feedback there. It actually makes it a lot more like riding in real life or like riding in Zwift against these climbs in the virtual world, Hannah. I mean, that experience is so cool.
Yeah, it's so realistic. I remember the first time I rode on a smart trainer and I was thinking, it felt almost weird. You know, usually on a turbo trainer, you have to change gear yourself to make it easier and harder. Whereas, you know, when you feel this gradient on Zwift, it does it all for you. It's actually incredible how real it feels, and definitely makes these climbs just as hard. You can suffer just as much as riding up there in Box Hill myself. I've done it before myself, and we're coming towards the top here of this Box Hill, coming towards the KOM.
And it looks like it is Vyasen here with the drafting power-up on the attack in full on here. It looks like from the Zwift All-Stars, they are completely committed to this KOM competition. It looks like it's going to be Lionel, but maybe Mottram was able to grab it right at the line. Perhaps it was Vitus Pro Cycling, though. I'm not positive. We'll have to get a KOM result on the screen here in just a moment, but Vyasen looked like he was fully committed. I thought it was 14 watts per kilogram for a second there, trying to take that sprint, but it does look like it is Mottram there from Vitus Pro Cycling that may have nipped it at the line. Now a breakaway coming from Mottram here. There's another kick in just a moment, being chased down here by, it looks like, Veris there from the Zwift Academy Dream Team. Now the pack does swallow him up though now, and it looks like there may be a counter here coming on from maybe Christensen. Pim's now going for Madison Genesis, it looks like here. Moses from Madison Genesis as well. There's a rider on the front though. It's John Moldy here. Madison Genesis 9.8 watts per kilogram, all in at this point. Christensen trying to follow it up from Canyon DHB. I'm not sure he's going to be able to close it down. It's taken 7 watts per kilogram to close that gap. Vyasen follows there. It looks like it's going to be a Rensman there as well from SEG. He's got his 1 second gap, and if he can hold on to this on the downhill, does he have a power-up is going to be the question, because at this section, an aero power-up is so crucial, Hannah.
Yeah, it is. If he had this, it would make it great for him. Christensen, you can just see, comes round him. Mold needs to get onto Christensen's wheel, make it a little bit easier for him, rest and recover, and if they work well together, you know, it could be perfect scenario. No one will have to chase. You see the chase now coming from Brown.
Looks like
Donovan's getting back to them.
Perhaps now just be able to bring it all back together here now. And as it does calm down here, let's go ahead and take a quick little look at the in-house reality with the Madison Genesis team or with Matt Stevens.
Thanks very much, Nathan and Hannah. It is all kicking off. A bit of a surprise attack just over the top of the climb by John Mould, who initially was struggling, but I think it was relatively neutral on the climb of Box Hill itself. This is a tough attritional course, but next time up, I'm expecting fireworks. But a very, very interesting move by the team of the series so far, Madison Genesis. But looking at the screen, it has all come back together. This is going to be a ferocious final lap. Who is going to run out the winner of this, the final round of the Men's KISS Super League? Back to you in your cover hole, guys.
Matt, thank you so much. Those shots over there looking so hard. Those riders are really, really going for it. I thought perhaps with the kind of effort that we saw there coming from Moldy, he might be able to get a little bit of a breakaway. But this pack here, there's a lot of power, a lot of pro riders able to chase them down, and a lot of motivation to try and take down Madison Genesis. I mean, they've been so dominant. They have been the Ironmen of this series so far.
Yeah, it's actually been incredible how dominant they've been. They've won 6 of 9 rounds so far. 4 wins from Ian Bibby, 2 wins from John Mould. So, yeah, the consistency round upon round has been incredible. And, you know, these riders just want to try and take it to them. And it's interesting to see that they kind of let Mould get away for that split second and they're not kind of watching him. But anyway, all back together now and just needs to stay in the pack, rest and recover. And, yeah.
Yeah, we are seeing here, we are in the underground. And as far as this course goes, the next section that they do need to be starting to think about is going to be the super kick out of this underground. It's like a 17% grade. It's very short. So it's, you know, it's extremely short. But if you're able to throw down a sprint attack over here, you can open up a 6 to 10 second gap pretty quickly. And that can put a lot of the other teams in the back foot. And it does look like it's going to be Vyasen here out of Belgium that is interested in doing just that, Hannah.
Yeah, going into this gradient, you really need to actually sprint going into it. Be prepared, and so you can get over the top of it. You just need that speed, power, and once you get over the top, done. You can just see already there's a Vajusen has actually broken away from the rest of the pack. He's got 1 second already just from putting in that effort. Yeah, and we've got the Zwift Academy on the front chasing him down as we come over Tower Bridge now.
Yeah, that's kind of been the in-house with the Zwift community teams rivalry that's been going on a little bit between the All-Stars and the Zwift Academy Dream Team. You'll be able to recognize them in the blue, white, and orange kits with the Zwift All-Stars. Those are community members that are very well known amongst the racing in the community, the Zwift Community League, and a lot of the other KISS races that have been going on for years now. And then the Zwift Academy Dream Team is a group of riders that have been selected from the elite, those that were finalists amongst the Zwift Academy. That does take place every year. The talent identification program that looks to crown one pro rider for Team Dimension Data for Quebec on the men's side of things. The timeout Box Hill looks to be from our race analyst, Greg Leal, letting us know a little bit of information in the background here. Was 5:30 up and over the top. That is a screaming time. I think I've done repeats on Box Hill trying to train here and there, and the best I could ever get was like, I think a little over 6. That's like a full, I mean, that's insane. I think they're pulling 6.5 to 7 watts per kilogram up and over the top of this Box Hill. They're all in out here, Hannah.
Yeah, it's insane the times that these pro riders can do on here. I think when I did Box Hill, I think it was about 11 or 12 minutes it took me to get up. I mean, a little bit more training is needed. But yeah, it's actually incredible the times these riders put out. And like we were saying before, Ian Bibby had held the Strava KOM since 2013. He's only just recently lost it. So it just shows how good these riders are and how quick they can go and how much power they have as well.
Yeah, and I believe that was just after the Olympics were in town, and then the Ride London, and I think I saw a lot of Pro Tour, Tour de France riders on that list of KOM. So, no joke as far as the kind of climbing you got to do to have that in real life KOM on Strava. We're looking at, it looks like Archibald here, Team Ribble. I did see at the bottom of the Box Hill descent, Team Ribble were really organized toward the front there. There was at least 3 riders in the black kits. But the thing that I also noticed, they have not stuck their nose in the wind. They have not been interested in taking a pole. They've not been interested in the KOM competition so far, but just making sure they hang on with every move so far out there on course. And I think that speaks to the reality that it's all about the overall and that podium at the end. I was having a little chat actually with Hopper beforehand. And there's a message saying, so exactly what do we need to do to make this happen, kind of a thing, to go from third to fourth to third place out there. And I said, maybe just go hard. So we'll see what ends up happening if they can pull it off out there today. I do also know the team manager from the Zwift All-Stars was not too happy about me chatting with them about that. So we'll have to see if the All-Stars and the Ribble competition, how that play out. I think the All-Stars are marking Ribble today, though.
I think Ribble are playing a very smart game. They just need to make sure they stay within the pack. Kind of, if a break goes, kind of get onto it. If there's 3, 4, 5 riders getting away, then you need to get onto it. If it's one solo rider or 2 riders, you can kind of like let it go, and depending on which team they're from, as long as they finish in that front group with all the riders placed high up, then that's what matters. Ed Hopper, like we were saying before, very strong rider. John Archibald, he could go for a long one if he's there in the finish, which, very much likely so. You can just see he's always near the front. He's always sitting around, the top 7 or 8 positions, which shows he's kind of keeping an eye on things, but he doesn't want to go too far back down the peloton. He wants to stay up there, keeping an eye on things and be ready to pounce if needed.
You were saying John Archibald has a solid climb, so maybe watching out for him there as well, I think. We are seeing the KOM results here, though. Lionel Viasen able to take that down. Outram, it looks like, just nipped at the line there, just behind him, it looks like. But Maximilian Stedman, the strong climber you're speaking about. And then in-house here, we're seeing George Pym there for 4th place in that KOM competition. We'll see if they can grab a few more points later. But I think Lionel and Mocham kind of got the jump on the pack there. I think they went really early from before you could even see the banner. And it's kind of around a corner with about 400 meters to go, and I think they just got a good gap and were able to stay away.
Yeah, I think if you don't know the course as well, which these riders should do, like you say, you go around the corner and the finish is there. If those riders who know to sprint early and go for it, they can hang on and take the other riders by surprise. And I think that's what happened. I mean, they ended up getting a gap of around 3 or 4 seconds, which, the 2 riders were clear. It was just, very close between Verjesen and Mottram. But, yeah. I don't think they were wanting to get a breakaway. I think they just wanted to battle it out for the KOM points.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Zwift All-Stars, perhaps that's a little bit of tip of the hat about their tactics out here today, because Lionel's one who could win the race. He's definitely a very, very strong rider out there. He likes these punchier climbs like this, and it's a little bit surprising. Now, we do have an attack here coming from Christensen, Canyon DHB, and they're in the running for 5th and 6th place here still. There are just enough points available on the day. If he's able to hold this breakaway here, and this is a ruler-type rider. He's got big power. I would compare him to someone like Alex West, Ollie Jones, Jones coming out of the same lands down under. The Kiwi here, 188 beats per minute, 435 watts, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner right now. A little bit of a 1% gradient, and they're about to take a right-hand turn onto about a 30-second climb. If he's able to hold on to this and attack through that, this could be a breakaway now, as the main pack is a little ways behind them. About 6 seconds is the difference between the main pack and this breakaway that we're looking at here. 191 beats per minute, 192. You can really see that heart rate starting to go out now, and as it continues to rise like that, eventually it's got to stop. And I think this shows how incredibly hard that he's working. Most likely started at a tempo, and now he can probably only hold this kind of a heart rate for 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes tops.
Yeah, it just shows how hard it is to try and attack and get into a breakaway. He's got 7 seconds so far, but he's kind of maintaining around the high 300s to 440. We just saw 440 watts. Just shows how hard you have to go to try and get in that breakaway. It's whether he can maintain it. He's a strong rider, we know that. He's strong out on the road, but he's got a strong team behind him as well. Alex Richardson just taking a win out in Belgium at the weekend. So they've got strong riders back in the bunch as well. So, if this doesn't work out, they've got 3 other riders to fall back on. Maximilian Stedman, like we said before, third in the KOM sprint. So, yeah, I think if he gets out of sight when they get to the underground, kind of out of sight, out of mind, these riders kind of forget about him, and if they can't see him, they've got nothing to chase. So this could be actually a very, very good place to attack.
What's interesting is we're watching the data on the right hand side. One of the great things about Zwift is all of the data that we do get on the screen telling us a lot about what's going on with the riders currently, and Christensen has been putting out a fairly solid effort, consistently about 1 watt per kilogram over, and this is the dangerous spot for a breakaway. Actually, you get that 5-6 seconds, and a lot of times you kind of whatever, shrug your shoulders, maybe not going to stick, but once you get over this 11 seconds, it becomes a threat, and Christensen is playing this very smart, obviously an extremely experienced Zwift racer, being a part of the Zwift Academy as well, and he is holding right around that steady 1 watt per kilogram, higher than the ones in the front of the pack that are making the chase. It looks like Wiggins, Lecole now taking up the chase here on this breakaway. A couple of seconds do come back on the downhill. It is very difficult to stay away on a downhill as the whole pack starts to make their way forward. Everybody who's sitting in ends up on the front very quickly because of the way that the draft works in real life as well as in Zwift.
Yeah, you can just see he's already just lost 4 seconds immediately just from this downhill, and the pack's actually just right behind him. So it just shows how hard it is on your own as a solo rider to be in a breakaway. But he was still maintaining such high watts, and in the bunch it was actually almost a lull. They were kind of down to 3 watts per kilo, where he was still at 4.5, and now SEG have just caught him now with Arensman.
Yeah, Arensman now going to the front real quickly. It looks like he just carried some speed through. That would have been an opportune time to make a little bit of attack. Looks like just going to roll right on through. Keep it pretty calm here at this point. Christensen now at 4.5 watts per kilogram here, and it's going to be Gavaris now with Arensman. C. Brown now making his way to the front, and Wiggins Lecole, though, taking over. Madison Genesis following up, though. Here we go with Pim. It looks like the rider in-house, a little bit motivated, perhaps just closing it down here. You can always recognize those Madison Genesis boys there in the dark blue and red on course. But now to the front, SEG taking over. Arensman now sticking his nose in the wind and seems to be very interested at just being at the front. Perhaps it's for a attack setup, or perhaps he felt how hard Box Hill was last time and just wants to kind of fade climb through. Sometimes if you struggle, with the climb, you do try and make up every meter you can before the climb.
Yeah, if I was Arensman and he was kind of struggling on Box Hill before, when he caught up to Christensen, I kind of would have just tried to roll past him, and it's kind of a false attack where you attack but you kind of just roll away quite slowly, and people don't think you've attacked so hard, and got a bit of a gap and a gap for yourself before you get to Box Hill as they go under this underground now. The bunches all together. Will any more riders start to go out the back? Who's going to attack from the bottom of the climb? It's a long climb, but some of these riders are very, very good. Like Mark Donovan, he's been very quiet since the last time we got to the Box Hill KOM. You can just see in the top right-hand corner, Madison Genesis. They all look quite calm and collected. A little out of the saddle sprint for Tom Moses there. Maybe just to get towards the front of the bunch. He's moving up through.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how Madison Genesis is going to approach this. They're kind of toward the back end of the pack here, but out to the front it will be Canyon DHB, it looks like, in the blue and white riding kit. Now, Subinyage from Wiggins, though. Now, Wiggins Lecole, we saw them last time. They were the initial instigators. They did have a gap to about halfway to about halfway to the top of this climb. We'll see if we see that repeated from Wiggins LeCole. Arnsman now from SEG, now beginning with the front, but no, Lurs, who we saw on the other climbs here on Keith Hill just a couple of weeks ago here, make his way to the front. He's got 8.2 watts per kilogram. This may be a serious attack here coming from Alex Lurs, but no, a feather power from the SEG rider Evans now toward the front, but it may be just to keep things under wraps at the beginning of the climb and reserve as much energy as possible. Donovan, as you've mentioned time and again, has been a super strong climber, might be able to make something happen. We were told a little bit earlier that it is Mottram who can hold 7 watts per kilogram, we're being told, for about the duration of this climb. He could be a favorite here for the KOM competition and try and snatch that away from Lionel, who's currently leading that out for the Zwift All-Stars. We'll have to see how that KOM competition plays out, as the main pack, though, still about 22.4 kilometers in with 8.5 to go. This is the final in the Kids Super League, round number 10, and we're going to start seeing who's got the watts to try and take this down. Figme now going to the front from Oliver's Real Food Racing here. Figme with 6.8, been pretty quiet so far, but he is starting to take charge with a little bit of a gap. It looks like it's going to be about 1 second in just a moment here. Alex West, Zwift Academy, though, he is one of the strongest climbers I've ever seen. He took, I believe, an insane 45 or 47, somewhere in the 45 to 47 minute climb over the top of the Alpe de Zwift. This boy can absolutely hammer on any climb. I'd be watching out for Alex West sitting in the ranks and just waiting to maybe make an attack for a race moving win, but I don't think he's that interested in the KOM competition. I think he's just following wheels today.
Yeah, it's like what he did when they went up Keith Hill. He was, sitting in, following the wheels, and he just pounced at the right moment, getting into those moves and using the climb precise moment and just being there, in the right position at the right time. As we see, or again, Mark Donovan attacks from Wiggins, the Wiggins team. He really wants to make this breakaway work. He's tried. This is his 3rd or 4th time now. And yeah, the bunch seems to have eased up a little bit. They're not chasing him. He's holding 6.4 watts per kilo, whereas everyone else is at 5.5. So, this is a great move by Donovan. This is the last opportunity up a climb he will get to breakaway before we get on the descent and then down onto the flatlands into the finish.
Not a lot of time left. This is it. This is the final 7.6 kilometers in the whole of the KISS Super League this year for 2019. Race number 10, 7.5 to go. We are getting a little bit of information here from Race Radio, and our race analyst, Greg Leo, the mad scientist, is letting us know that Alex West has lost his wingman, Ollie Jones, another really good climber and the winner of the 2017 Zwift Academy that was riding for Team Dimension Beta for Quebec at U23. Ollie Jones had a technical issue today, so it's all on Alex West to try and take this down, it looks like, out here today. But that's not going to be happening unless they close this attack down from Wiggins LeCole right now, as he's got a hefty gap here. As they round this corner, he's almost out of sight, out of mind, as we were saying. Riders starting to fall off left and right. SCG off the back here now. This is obviously putting a lot of riders down on the back foot. This may stick, and he's been able to hold well over 6 watts per kilogram for the duration of this climb so far. Now into 7 here. Ribble sees it as a threat. Lures the climber from Ribble now starting to go 9 watts per kilogram. He's looking to bridge without anybody else coming with him. Immediately opens up the gap. Nobody's holding on to that wheel at 9 watts per kilogram. That's how you make a break happen in the group and out on Zwift Racing, because someone's going to sit on your wheel, hold that draft, and just go right along with you at that point here. Lewis definitely grabbed onto those seconds and those meters that he needed. West is trying to close it down, but only able to match about what Lewis is putting down. Lewis is closely watching the kind of watts that's being put down by Alex West right now, making sure he's at least matching or doing better, and also trying to close it down to Donovan. But it's all in. These riders know this is one of the final climbs of the whole KISS Super League series, and Donovan is just trying to hang on for dear life for that gap, but Lewis shuts it down. Alex Lewis comes over the top now here and goes flying right by Donovan. Donovan tries to throw down orange numbers. This is an all-out brawl to the top.
Wow, this is so exciting. Donovan, can he get back to Lewis' back wheel, or is he going to get caught by Archibald? Archibald's coming, putting down some orange numbers, 7.2 watts per kilo. He's coming, and just noticed before, Ian Bibby is up there. He's just dropped back a little bit, but he's coming. He's been very quiet so far, but yeah, Lewis, what a fantastic effort. 7.2 watts per kilo, and yeah, he's just riding away from everyone. 4 seconds now, and Donovan, I don't think he's going to get back to him, I'm afraid. I think he's going to get caught by the bunch.
I think you're right about that, Hannah. The early attack that he made there, he probably went into the red a little bit, tried to close it down to the wheel, but Alex Lewis has timed this almost perfectly. He sat in at about 5.5 to 6 watts per kilogram. He sat in, rested up, made sure he didn't use too much energy, and then made one final kick, it looks like, to the top here to try and take over not only this breakaway to the top, but the KOM points competition, and perhaps for Team Ribble, the win that they need. Look at this. It's 1-2 for Team Ribble. This is what they need. They have to beat the Zwift All-Stars to take over the last pot on the podium for the series overall at this point. Two of the Team Ribble riders are trying to make it happen, but Lionel V. Austin, he is totally interested in this KOM competition. 10 watts per kilogram. Lionel's too little, too late. Alex Lewis takes down that final kick to the line for the KOMs today, but it looks like it's going to be the Zwift All-Stars taking that second spot and most likely solidifying the KOM competition on the day, Canada.
Yeah, this is very strong. I'm just wondering if Lewis can actually hold on. Bibby's coming now, 3 seconds behind. It's kind of all coming back together a little bit, but also you can just see Ribble, they have 2 or 3 riders just behind. This is a perfect scenario. Archibald's back up there now, and yeah, this is a perfect scenario for Ribble. You know, get rid of as many of the all-stars as possible, make it hard, make it demanding for them, and yeah, just put them under pressure. It's up to the all-stars to chase Ribble down.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% here, and it does look like they're able to drop off the All-Stars. I'm not seeing too many of them still involved. Matthew Jujan in the back there, though, so he's still involved for sure. Austin's still there as well. Ribble, though, still with 2 riders toward the front. It's going to be an all-out battle, I think, to the line between them for the W. We'll have to wait and see. Now the kick here up and over the top of this little, not so little, actually, as we did see it was up in almost 17% grade. They come over the top here now. Power-ups are being thrown down. Obviously, a lot of riders on the back foot just trying to hang on as we see those drafting powers being used long before the sprint that they usually need them in here. So we thought perhaps a couple of breaks would go, but the main pack is all together. Definitely a lot of riders have been shed from this pack at this point, but from the top, we're being told by a race analyst that there's 5 kilometers to go now, about to the finish line. As you see, 4.9 at the top there, including the 2.5 kilometers of flat time trial to go to try and hold any gap that does open up. It hasn't opened up here at this point, so essentially what we've got is once they hit the bottom of this climb, this pack is most likely going to stick together. Everyone's going to kind of be thinking about resting up for one more go to try and get away, which is only that underground ascent.
Yeah, that's the only part they have where it goes to 17% gradient. That's the hardest part. That's the last real chance they can get to break away. It's very interesting to see people using their power-ups, actually, because there's no more opportunity to get another power-up. So, you know, if you're struggling, then you need to use the power-up to stay within the race. If you don't use it and you get dropped, then it's end of game, you know. So it's interesting, but how will that affect them come the sprint if it comes to it, or if a breakaway goes? But I think it will definitely come down to that last little kicker in the underground.
Yeah, as far as any breakaways go, that's all anybody has. Unless you're a sprinter at this point, you're thinking about that kicker up and out of the top. We are heading into that final 3.6 here in just a moment. Now it will flatten out momentarily. Nobody really wants to go at this point. They're just really watching to see who might be setting up toward the front. They're trying to find a good position toward the front end. As soon as the downhill gradient, as you see in the upper right-hand corner again, that's where you can see the gradient they're currently experiencing on those smart trainers that they are on, and they will be waiting for it to level out. And the moment it levels out, then you can kind of carry some speed through and maybe make an attack as soon as everybody is no longer gaining speed from just being on a downhill.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just see the experience from Bibby. If you look at his numbers, 2.5 watts per kilo. Everyone else is at around 5.8, 4.5 to 5.8. Shows his experience. He's just, you know, we can see him now in the office. He's kind of just chilling a bit, saving a bit of energy, getting himself prepared for that sprint, and you know, if any breakaway might go, but I think he'll be saving it for the sprint, getting his energy back and taking a breather.
We are seeing Bibby now kind of making his way to the front there momentarily, though. He made sure there was a little bit of a gap kind of opening up between the pack there, stringing out just a tad. So he did kick a little bit, 6 watts per kilogram, about 350 or 400 watts just momentarily. Now is the point where they're really going to start to focus. So we do see Featon to be there now, making his way to the front. Now it's going to be a left-hand turn, and here is that last chance to get anywhere. And I would maybe see, if anyone's tired, breaking off the back here, the pack might completely split and have a group of 3, 4, or 5 get away. We saw 14 watts per kilogram from a couple of riders there. 9 to 14 is what it was taking to hold on with that kick, but nothing, it looks like, is going to stick. And now it's all about a setup for a sprint.
Yeah, I think it's all for the sprint now. How are teams going to play it? Ribble need to make sure they get towards the the front as as much as possible as they go across Tower Bridge here. And a bit of an attack here by Wiggins on the left-hand side. Is he just moving up, or is he wanting to get an attack? Big moves being made at the front here, and you can already see Madison Genesis here at the front. It's Tom Moses, 7.9 watts per kilo. He's really going for this. For the overall, it doesn't really matter for Madison Genesis, but he's going for the win now. Look at the bunch now. It's splintered. It's in one line. You can see how hard he's going. He's the third. He's out the saddle now, sprinting. He's giving it everything. This is it. The last round of the Zwift Kids Super League. He's giving it everything. There's nothing to lose. 1.1 kilometers remaining.
Moses here, 7.8 watts per kilogram, 190 beats per minute. You can see his real-life effort. His teammates are around him there, up in the upper right-hand corner. He's the one up out of the saddle, giving everything he's got. We have a chase here coming from Matthew Jujon, though. It is going to be the Zwift All-Stars who are looking for some points here. They're actually setting up, though. We can see Ribble holding on to the wheel there of maybe an All-Star. No, Ribble has let the All-Star go. This is a dangerous moment here because if Matthew Jujon wins on the day here, that means Ribble has no chance for those spots in the team series here. But who's it going to be to the line? We've got 0.8 kilometers to go. Just 800 meters to the line. We can hear it in the office. They're screaming for the Madison Genesis riders. Lewis from Team Ribble is looking to take this down. He's coming on with 11 watts per kilogram. Who's got the aero power-ups? It's Alex West. Alex West kicking for the line. Madison Genesis trying to follow it up. The All-Stars there hanging in. Who's going to time it just perfectly? It's going to be about the final kick, and it's going to be the Dream Team. The Dream Team finally make it happen. They've been looking for the whole series to try and take a win from Madison Genesis, and the Zwift Academy Dream Team make it happen. What a race there. Round number 10 of the Kids Super League. Absolutely amazing timing there from the Zwift Academy Dream Team. In-house, we saw the real life. Look at the boys.
Look
at them, man. I mean, they're just absolutely demolished.
Yeah, you can just see, look at George Pym. He's just hanging over his handlebars. That was so exciting. It just shows you how much effort goes into taking a win here on the Zwift Kiss Super League. And John Mould led it out into that final. He just got pipped there by the Dream Team. Absolutely fantastic. It's incredible series, and what a finale.
We did just see a couple of the Dream Team boys there rolling in. It looks like maybe dropped a little bit earlier, so they're looking to finish up their race there. Looking at Pat here from Canyon DHB doing the cool down, bring that heart. Look at how quickly the heart rates come down, actually. 143, 138. That is a very quick recovery, man. That's what makes people pros do those big miles here. Looking at the hills out in London now, as these were the ones that they had to take down to try and take the win. That KOM competition happening out here. I believe we'll be having some replays here in just a moment, but Madison Genesis, not a whole lot to worry about for the series, but they couldn't make it happen in this final. At least somebody was able to win a race. Obviously the Dream Team been looking for it, and it's been so close. I mean, we're talking like a couple of them were down to 100th of a second between the Dream Team and Madison Genesis, and they've been looking for that. That Dream Team's been looking for that for quite a while.
Yeah, we've had some photo finishes, which, just shows how close this racing is. And yeah, thrilled for them to take a victory. Madison Genesis already have 6 individual victories to their name already, so it's great to see another team take a win on this final series.
It looked a little bit early there from Team Ribble. I thought that they were going to be able to make it happen. They were really motivated out there. Obviously, the All-Stars went super early, but I think because of the pressure of, we need to hold on to these points, it kind of set them up to maybe not time it correctly. I think there was a little bit of pressure that they felt to try and make sure that they got the jump on it all, but it ended up where Madison Genesis and the Academy were able to sit in on those early jumps because of that.
Yeah, I think when you are going for a podium, you can just see here now the results here. Brad Guver's Zwift Academy Dream Team, Ian Bibby second, and John Mould third from Madison Genesis.
Yeah, and during the scene, then there's going to be 4th place for Lion of Yawson. Alex West there for the Zwift Academy Dream Team. George Pym, Madison Genesis, and John Archibald there for Riverpool Cycling. Alice Lures, Riverpool Cycling. Connor Brown there, Dimension Data, and Mark Donovan from Team Wiggins Nicole. Let's go on over to Matt Stevens here in-house with the Madison Genesis riders for a little bit of interview.
Thanks very much indeed, Nathan. What an absolutely thrilling finale that was. Wasn't quite 5 for you, that's second on the day, but quite a tactical race that played out there, Ian.
Yeah, it often is when there's a decent climb like that in the race. It's like a 2, 5 or 6 minute maximal effort, so it's always going to be pretty tactical. Everyone's waiting for the climb, and I think everyone was just on the rivet for the last hill. and I got a power up, so I was pretty happy to wait for the sprint. Mouldy had one and George had one, so for us there wasn't much point attacking apart from Tom. So we did that, and he did a great attack. And yeah, shame not to end on a high, but it's been a brilliant series. So
Was it always a plan for Tom to go on the attack in the final? Because I saw you four chatting. You had 4 of you in the front group, which is quite a rarity on a tough course like this. But to have 4 in the front group coming in towards the finish must have been a real bonus.
yeah, it's rare we're all together like this, so we can chat, which is good, because if Tom had gone there, we'd have all reacted really. So we said he'd have a go at the finish, not on the climb, but over the top when everyone sort of sits up in it. It sort of worked, and even if he didn't stay away, it let us sit there and let someone else do the work. So worked well.
So looking ahead, you got the national championships tomorrow. So how are the legs feeling ahead of the nationals?
I've had a couple of easy days after racing at the weekend, so a bit heavy legs coming into tonight, but hopefully that's got the engine going again, and hopefully be all right tomorrow, and one of us can take the jersey.
Great stuff. Well, we should have a look at the final team standings just coming up. Of course, Madison Genesis have been dominant throughout. We know they are still going to top the rankings. Second and third to Ian Bibby in second position. Of course, John Mould in third. The big question is, what are the final podium positions going to be? Well, here they are. Madison Genesis confirmed as the winners with a mighty 414 points. Zwift Academy, a dream team, in second with 323. And then the Zwift All-Stars in third with 244 points. Real Pro Cycling not too far away at all with 238. Then we have Canyon DHP with 158. Dimension Data in 6th. Wiggins Lacole in 7th. SG Racing in 8th. 9th place, Vice Pro Cycling, and rounding out the top 10 with 96 points, Hagen Berman Action. We're going to have another chat with John Mould, winner of 2 rounds, third today, so high finishing place. But John, as you look back on the 10 races, what are your thoughts on the KISS Super League in its entirety? It's something pretty different, but it's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's been really good fun actually. It's made the winter finish off nicely, and we're straight into the race season now. So it's been really enjoyable. Nice 10 weeks of smashing ourselves every Wednesday night and getting some strong efforts in, and ended up looking like messes like Bibby is after a hard race like that. So really good.
So how do you manage to factor in racing on Zwift and the KISS Super, and then obviously what we can't forget is your professional road races. You're out on the road a lot as well. How have you managed to find the kind of balance?
It's worked quite well. Like it's only one night a week, and you got the rest of the week to do on. You're going to do a hard effort every Wednesday, so you just factor it into your training and make sure it fits around that. And I think we've all worked around training camps, went to Calpe and did it there after 4 hours. Like some of the lads were doing big rides, but it was good having all the team there cheering you on as well. So it's been really good fun.
So you think esports is definitely here to stay then?
Definitely, I think, yeah. It's always improving, and it's improved every week in, week out, so it's been really good.
John Mould, thank you very much indeed. Well, although this is the last round of the men's KISS Super League, we've got more racing on its way. We've got 2 more rounds of the women's KISS Super League, but don't miss tomorrow. We've got the National Championship, the British National Championships on Zwift tomorrow, live. But for now, let's just reflect back on what a marvellous 10 weeks it's been in the men's KISS Super League.
Hi, I'm Matt Stevens and welcome to the KISS Super League, the first ever cycling esports league exclusively on Zwift.